Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'll give everybody a chance to talk if they want to. And then I'll go back to mute. Hello, Amy. Hello, Carolyn. Okay. I see Ada and Kim. And I'll mute you guys again when we get started, but I just wanted you guys to be able to say hi. I see Melanie, Monica, Shoshana. Okay. I see Miss Sheila is on here. Hello, Miss Sheila. Okay. James Sosa. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wonderful, wonderful. So glad to have you all. Okay. We'll get started shortly. We've got about one more minute. I will say, just good housekeeping. I'll talk about it again once we get started. But if you have something that you have a question about, I've muted you all. That way we can not, take care of background noise. But if you'd like to throw something in the chat, a question, a comment, an idea, a connection, whatever it may be, just throw it in there. And I will be manning the chat as well as our team here at RFI. And hopefully we'll be able to answer it in the session. But if we're not able to answer it in the session, we'll definitely get that to you immediately in a phone call or an email once we get finished today. So I want to be conscious of everyone's time. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And thank you all so much for being here. Okay. Go ahead and share my screen here. All right. Everyone see everything okay? Okay. If you want to shoot me a thumbs up in the chat, that lets me know. So, Ms. Audrey, can you see everything? Wonderful, wonderful. So I want to welcome you today to Essential Foundations, Bridging Classroom Learning to Manufacturing Careers with Ready for Industry. I am going to be your host today. I'm Casey Alvarado. I'm the director of Ready for Industry. And just to give you a little small background about myself, I've been in education and workforce development for 15 years, from everything from working with local government and partnerships with industry to being a CTE teacher, coordinator, CTE director, and assistant principal. And I love all things CTE because I feel like that's the connection and definitely the bridge. Our VP is Josh Snyderman, who is not with us today, is actually traveling at some key conferences for us this week. He is our VP for RFI and Learning Blade. And then we have Miss Grace Johnson, who has newly joined our team. She is our RFI Customer Success Manager, and she's here to support you in any kind of way to make sure that you get off started and implemented well, but also that you're able to continue to use it to help partner with you. Any technical difficulties, we're here to support. So thank you all for that. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to thank our incredible partners and funders who make this work possible. We are deeply grateful to Team Kentucky, the National Rural Education Association of Tennessee, the state of Louisiana, and the Alabama CTE for their continued support and commitment to advancing high-quality career and technical education and workforce development programs across our state. Their partnership helps us create real opportunities for students and communities and allows RFI to be in the hands of those who need it to help students get to success. And so we're so grateful for you and thank you so much. I'd also like to welcome my co-host and guest star today, Miss Audrey Marshall. Audrey has served as the Work-Based Learning Coordinator for Auburn City Schools since 2015, coordinating internships and apprenticeships and other career experiences for students. With over 31 years in education, she has taught business, marketing, and technology courses and trained educators and professionals across multiple states. She's a certified Microsoft Office specialist, and Audrey also teaches at the Auburn University Office of Professional and Continuing Education. She's received numerous honors, including Auburn's High School Teacher of the Year and Alabama Power's Bright Light Award for Community Service. And Audrey currently serves as the president of the Work-Based Learning section for the ALACTE and continues to champion meaningful career pathways and for students. In addition to that, I don't know when she sleeps, but she does. But she's also a wonderful person, and I'm so glad to have you here today, Audrey. Audrey, I'm going to start and just give just a little brief overview of RFI, and then I just want you to go into all that it's done for your schools and your work-based learning programs.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
So Ready for Industry prepares job seekers from late teens to adulthood, so what we call from high school to gray, with career awareness and preparedness. It bridges two gaps that exist in the preparation of many potential skilled workers. So what industry path do you want to pursue, and what does that look like? What's the basic information that employers want you to do, what we call employer expectations, but also getting into the wherewithal, the equipment you'll see, the people you interact with, the communication that you'll use, the lexicon, the acronyms that are there, and what you need to know to prepare you and bridge that career from education. Ready for Industry provides 15 to 20 hours in each of the high demand industries, healthcare, manufacturing, information technology, construction, and logistics. And today we're going to focus in on manufacturing. I want to hand it off first just to tell you about a successful practice and use of RFI in Auburn City Schools. So I'm going to hand it over to Miss Audrey Marshall here to speak about her work and use of RFI. Audrey?
Okay, and thank you so very much. And thank you all for attending today. I am super excited about working with Dr. Casey and Skylar and the team there. They have been nothing but helpful. And even prior to them, there have been some really great people. I've done Ready for Industry for several years, and it's been very impactful for the students here at Auburn City Schools. But one of the reasons that we did use it, and I encourage my Alabama people for using it, is because it is a free resource provided to us by our state. And I think that there may be several other states out there that, we're all looking at our funding. That is one of the top reasons that you don't have an excuse not to at least try it out. So, but I will say for us at Auburn City School, it has done an amazing job of allowing our students to see how the academic piece and the real world experiences that they would get out there in the industries match together. So the software for Ready for Industry does focus on that employability, the professionalism. I have really enjoyed looking at the different career paths that are offered for our students to look at, such as manufacturing specifically, which is what we're talking about today. But even in the healthcare industry too, there's several different things. If students say that they're interested in something, it does provide them some opportunity to be ready to really truly see what is actually going on in those particular professions, instead of just saying this is something that I'm interested in. They're actually getting some content from Ready for Industry that allows them to see actually what is done on a daily basis. I mean, if you go in and look at the curriculum, you'll notice some of those things. And then again, as I said at the very top of my conversation, is the partnerships with Ready for Industry, eDynamic. They have been really great about servicing us, and not just sometimes when you have software programs that is not there, there's a product that's out there, but then the customer service part of that is very helpful. Anytime I've had any questions, that's something that has been available too. So the partnerships with them, as well as the partnerships with local industries, when we're looking at some of the things, we have lots of manufacturing in Auburn, and it is really important. Sometimes we think about manufacturing in the old sense of you're in a dirty, dingy, dark place, but that is not truly what a lot of industry is, especially in Auburn. There's technology, there's lots of different things that children just don't know, and sometimes parents don't know. And I really enjoy the fact that Ready for Industry addresses some of those things. So some of the perceptions that may be out there about what industry is and what manufacturing is even, or any of those other careers that Ready for Industry supports, they can dispel some of those myths about it. So it does help our partners in better letting the community and our children specifically see what is really going on in a particular industry. And then we pretty much do an annual fair that will connect our students to our employers. So those are some things about our program. And one of the reasons that we utilize that, because it does give our kids, when they're getting ready to go to the fair, if they don't know about a particular thing, they can go in and look at some of these industries and be better prepared for their experiences at the fair, to talk about some of these things with the employers that are actually at our fair. So, and if I could go to the next slide, thank you. Okay. And again, we use it to really help our students to be aware about the different careers out there. Specifically, as I've stated, and many of you are here because you're looking at the manufacturing piece. We're very heavy in manufacturing here in Auburn, but it does let our students be aware of what's out there. You know, what are the skills and tools, and what's a day like in a manufacturing, and then what are some of the things that they need to know in order to be successful in that, and not just again, perceiving something that they may have seen, somewhere else. So it does allow them to explore some of the specifics. I have seen students that, wanted to go into medicine, and they thought, well, let me go through this and let me think. They're thinking one way, but then once they get into the content, they're looking at it in a more holistic view. And I think that's really good. And then as far as them participating, I think it makes them better prepared when they do go in, because the way that the content is set up for Ready for Industry, it's very user friendly. It's driven easily for the students to do with support from you as a teacher. But also they can do it independently. I've had students that are kind of going right there with them beside, and then also students who can just take on and go just 90 to nothing to get the modules completed, and also just get the understanding of that. So again, it's integrated. I have integrated into my work-based learning program. One of the big things that I get a lot of coordinators around the state that ask about, well, what if a student doesn't have a job? Where I've talked earlier about, it helps them to be aware about things. But then what if a student doesn't have a job? And that is an issue, I think, along, for students, if something happens and they don't have the job, and then what do they do to gain hours in the work-based learning course? Because I tell them it's a work-based learning, not sit-based learning or any of those things. So what it does is it gives them modules to work on. If they say, well, I'm interested in manufacturing, and they may be interested in even the general course that Ready for Industry has, that just gives the overview of all these courses. It give them an opportunity to look at something that they may not have thought about before. So that's one of the things that I require my students, if they ever do lose employment for some reason, or something doesn't work out for just a period of time, while they're looking for a job, they are into those Ready for Industry modules. They're looking, they're exploring. Again, they're being aware that some other things are out there other than this one particular thing that they may have set their targets on. So again, it does really support the work-based learning program in that way. And then it does, again, support them applying that knowledge to looking for other jobs. I hadn't thought about this before. I've only been looking in this area. So again, when I say if my students are unemployed, they need to get ready for industry. So they're going to go in there and do that. So that's what we pretty much want to do again. And next slide, please. Thank you. And I just want to sum it up again, just as benefits. It does connect them to the real world, because we all live in a world where there are lots of images that are put out there, perceptions that they may have that may be true, that may not be true, may be accurate, may not be accurate, but it does connect the students to really things that are happening in industry. Ready for Industry does do that. And then it does encourage them to explore those things that they may not have even thought about. And that's, to me, the mark of us as educators. We're to open our minds to some different things. We also need to be in the business of opening our students' minds to some things that they may not have thought about. And then building confidence in what they do know, maybe some things that they did learn, and then they're like, they're passing these modules, these tests, and they're doing well on them, and they're like, that confidence level just goes really up. And I've loved to see that. And I know we're talking about manufacturing, but I have seen that with some of the children that just know when they can't get an internship in the manufacturing plant, or they can't get an internship in the hospital. Well, let's go into these modules and get yourself prepared. So when you do go to an interview, you'll be able to talk about some of these things. And then when you do get a job in that industry that you're interested in getting to, then you will have some information that you can talk the trade, okay, per se. And then again, I cannot stress how important it is. We do not want our students who are unemployed as work-based learning coordinators to sit there and do nothing and get discouraged and be disappointed. And then, they're getting a grade for hours. This can document the hours, the time on task that they spent. And I have used this for many years to do that. And it's not like, sometimes I'll have my students say, well, I will give you 2 hours or 5 hours for looking for a job, but that's hypothetical. I don't know if it's really 2 hours, but you can tell exactly how much time they spend in the software, which I have absolutely loved that. That's been very good with strengthening the validity of the time that I'm giving them for time spent on employability. And then again, Ready for Industry does strengthen their technical and their soft skills. And again, they're learning the language about manufacturing. They're learning the language about, IT, whatever industry that they're going into. And again, we're focused on manufacturing here today, but they're learning these things. And that way, again, they can talk some things when they go to interviews. And then the soft skills are, and I don't like to call them soft skills, even though I do have that on my slide, but just knowing the professionalism. Ready for Industry does address that. And that's something that is limited a lot for what, kids are learning today. So, okay, and next slide. And again, employers, how does this benefit them? It does benefit employers as well as educators. We all have heard that. We just want them to show up to the job ready to work. We want them to show up to the job, coming on time. We want all of these things. But this is something that I think Ready for Industry gives our students a realistic picture of what it would take to be on a job so that they will be ready to show up and know that, if you're working in a manufacturing plant, this is what you have to expect. We're all in any job, you're part of the team, but that is super important in the manufacturing industry when every job depends upon on the other. So again, that's important, but it does allow the students to see the employers to see what specific task and what specific content the students have learned and what specific content they've mastered. Ready for Industry does that. It verifies that. It's not just what they say that they know. It can reduce onboarding time and training costs if they have made a 80% or 90% or whatever have you. That is documented in the program. And then this program, Ready for Industry, and that's something that I have really enjoyed when I've talked with them about some different alignments for things. It aligns with instruction for industry standards, and they're also aligning the curriculum for that. And the NOCTI, I know that Dr. Casey will get into talking to you about those. And so these are some stackables and some things that they can actually get by completing Ready for Industry modules. And then educators, again, I love it because it's not that I've got to go in and create anything. I didn't have to create, I just pull this content, I pull this data, and I want y'all to see that flashing win-win. We all want to win, right? So and we do, we win. The children win, the employers win, we win because it's saving us some time. It enhances the opportunity for students to add this to a portfolio to say, hey, I've got this Ready for Industry certificate that that I've done. And if they do the testing, they've got that also. It does increase their success and retention in work-based learning. For me, it's allowed students, and I love it when an 11th grader, goes into the content and they say, well, I want to have a job in, at such and such plan. I want to go for that. And, well, they're not going to let you do that until you're 18. Well, while you're 17, let's go through this module. Let's let them know that you've done these standards. Let's have this certificate. Let's try to do the NOCTI certification. Those are some things that they can actually do. And the team there at Ready for Industry has always been very positive with assisting me and offering to talk about ways that we can get funding for those credentials and so forth too. So talk with your representatives. They have been really wonderful for me. And again, higher confidence in the workplace. We all know that when we're prepared, when we got some information under our belt, we feel better. And Ready for Industry does give students an opportunity to feel better about the knowledge that they've gained. And if they don't do well on a test, they can go back and retake things. All of these things just supports their higher confidence when they are placed out there in the industry. So again, it's just a wonderful opportunity. I encourage you all, um, even if you're just if even you're NCTE and not specifically work-based learning, it will support the functions of in any classroom. There's several different things. Again, we're focused on manufacturing today, but investigate them all. And I really do encourage the folks to look at that overview course. If I had my way, we would probably have all of our students to do that, because those are the high demand areas, and we want them to look at careers in high demand areas and not in those that may not have that opportunity to get a job when they graduate. And that's really all that I have. And thank you.
No, thank you so much, Audrey. That was absolutely wonderful. That was the webinar. You guys are done. Audrey, take it off. No, thank you so much for sharing not only your use and your experience with it, but also the alternate areas, because we do have those work-based learning opportunities where students aren't able to keep the employer, or they're not able to get those opportunities, and they have to play the sitting game, and that's not what we want them to do. We want them to have that real world experience, and so how we can give them that is filling it with RFI. So thank you so much, Audrey. Audrey has another event. As you saw from her bio, she's incredibly busy, and so we're so grateful for her to give us this time. But if you guys have any questions for Audrey or want to ask her more about her work-based learning program, she has over a decade of success with that work-based learning program, and so she has a wealth of information that she can give you. I'll be able to send you her contact information and connect you all via email. So thank you so much, Ms. Audrey.
Okay. And thank you all for participating today, and thank you for the invitation. Bless you all.
Have a good day.
All right.
So let's step into it. With RFI, Audrey spoke highly of it, but what I want you to definitely get in today is some of the content that she referenced. And so first, let me get to the genesis of RFI and how it was created. RFI was made from the same developers who developed KeyTrain and Career Ready 101. So if you're familiar with those programs through ACT Work Keys, the people who have the same development around career readiness, cognitive skills development are those same developers, and Ms. Sheila Boynton and Dr. Dane Boynton, who are connected to the development and the creation of that, also created not only RFI, but you may be familiar with Learning Blade, which is our middle school STEM exploration program, and then Career Blade, which is an elementary program. If you're interested in either of those programs, middle school or elementary, ask some resources for not only yourself, but for other people that you work with, your colleagues. Please let me know either in the chat or send me an email, and I can send you that additional information as we end up with the webinar. So when RFI has, you have 6 sections within each of your sectors. So when we're focusing on manufacturing, we're going to look at the introduction to the industry. So we're looking at the genesis, the history of manufacturing and how it was created. Then we get into working in the industry. What am I going to see? Who am I going to be speaking to? What's the communication? What's the safety protocols? What's the PPE gear? What am I going to be wearing? The terminology that I'll hear, the acronyms, what are common practices that will happen in this workplace setting. Then it gets into the next piece, which are all, again, brick building, as we're building onto career opportunities and descriptions. I'm at this workplace and I see that there is the engineers that are there. I see the robotics workers. I see the welders. I see the line technicians. What if I want to do those roles? So now I have an understanding of those career opportunities that are around me, a description of them, as well as the education and the pathways that are there. Then I get into the current issues. What's currently going on in that sector as far as development, and then what's happening in the future. So in manufacturing, we're looking at robotics and the advancement of that as we move into things called mechatronics. And then under career pathways and education is how do I now, once I know kind of what I want to do, is the prep work. I'm setting up my post-secondary plan, whether it means I need to get a certificate, I need to head to a vocational technical school, or I need to head on to a four-year institution. The other pieces of that is your interview prep and your resume and what that looks like, which is really good when you look at a work-based learning opportunity, because the students have had those 3 core CTE courses, and now they're going into what we call their capstone CTE course or their work-based learning opportunity. They've had a lot of information about the technical skills, but have not so much got into employer expectations when it comes to the interview, the resume, and then also the day-to-day of what that job is going to look like. And so those are really good sections to prep those students for. And then your last piece is once I get that work-based learning opportunity, or once I get that employment, how do I keep that job? Because I have employer expectations. What are those? I have time management. How do I do that? I have conflict resolution that needs to be healthy. What does that look like? And so RFI approaches all of that in those sections. What I also want you to know is while you have 6 sections, and each section has a quiz and they need to complete that at 80% or higher, it can also be separated out into sections that have a micro badge attached. So if you just need to take a sections, just like the workplace expectations, to prep someone for an opportunity, you can do that and still give them that certification to show them that they've completed that, and they'll be able to take that to the employer. The next piece I want you to see is RFI fills competency gaps between education and industry using the workforce competency model through the Department of Labor. It addresses tiers such as workplace competencies and industry-wide technical skills. You have 2 stackable credentials, which we call micro-credentials, that are available. One is inside of RFI upon completion. So each section that I showed you has a quiz that students need to take and score at 80% or higher. They have 2 times to take the exam, but if they need to reset and retake, they can do that inside of the platform. We also have supplementary resources to help them with studying. If you have students that are having issues with passing the exam, retaining information, reading comprehension. So there's some support there. Upon completion, there'll be a downloadable certificate that is in there that has the ready for industry. And depending upon the state, there'll be a state seal and sign from the affiliates that are on that and has the student's name. The teachers are able to see that inside of their platform, as well as the students are able to see that inside of their platform. And so that's giving them a workforce competency credential. The other credential is an opportunity is through the National Occupational Competency Testing Institute, known as NOCTI. NOCTI is widely known across CTE and trades and vocational training. It has been going, NOCTI has been in existence for over 30 years. And they offer an additional assessment to validate industry competencies. It's 1 hour, 56 questions, multiple choice. It does have to be taken at a NOCTI approved center, but you can easily become a NOCTI approved site completely free, and it takes only 10 minutes. If you're interested in becoming a NOCTI site, please let me know and I can get you connected to the NOCTI team to get that set up. You can not only do the RFI NOCTI testing with that center certification, but you can also enter in doing other NOCTI certifications. There is a fee per test administrators for each exam at the NOCTI exam, but we are offering for each organization a set of promo codes. And so if you're interested in taking the NOCTI exam or having your students taking the NOCTI exam, please let us know and we'll get you set up with that as well. Okay. Before I go further, anyone have any questions? Make sure everyone's good. If you want to drop me a little thumbs up in the chat and let me know that you're good, or if you have any questions or thoughts, support, and make sure I'm not going too fast for you all and I'm not missing out on anything else. Okay. Wonderful. I think everyone else is good. All right. So today we're focusing in on manufacturing. So I want you to be able to see the manufacturing outline. You see the sections, introduction to manufacturing, Inside of that, you have the sub bullets. And in the sub bullets, there's still additional content. You want to look at each section. You think about 1 to 2 hours, but overall 15 to 20 hours. So it's micro learning. In a school setting, you can take this over a semester. You can have it do an in-between period. So like during a fall break, before we go into winter break, in between testing, when you don't want to get into other curriculum or getting into other content. It can also be stretched over a year process. So we have that happening in our sales initiative that we have with the state of Tennessee. Those students take the program for a year long. And so they're doing short sub bullets of the content. And so if you have questions about the pacing or layout, please let us know and we can help you with that as well. In the introduction to manufacturing, you see the importance of manufacturing in society. You see common manufacturing practices. Then it gets into processes, how they've started and how they've changed. Then as you jump into working in the manufacturing industry, you see the concepts of production. You see the processes. You see fabrication from assembly. Also getting into the different types of manufacturing from robotics, food, and perishable. You're getting into safety protocols. And when it gets into the OSHA regulations, it's getting into the why. And sometimes I feel like, as I raise my own son who's 15, and as I've been an educator for some years, the question the students want to know, they want to do the right thing, but they want to know the why. This inside of here tells the OSHA regulations, but the why and the common PPE practices and the why. Then you get into the lockout tagout guards. You get into lean manufacturing and Six Sigma and TQM and things and terms and practices and common practices that they'll see that they didn't necessarily see in a traditional classroom, but they're seeing now. And then going into the careers, the students get an idea of what the careers are, the pathways to those careers, the cognitive skills that are necessary for those careers. And then getting into the current issues in manufacturing. What are the current challenges? What are supply chain and smart factories that are happening, but also what's growing. So we're looking at green manufacturing and smart manufacturing. We're looking at robotics and advancements there. Then it's finding the job. It is that prep work. So educational pathways, but also writing the resume, finding the job. What does the job search look like? And then preparing for the interview. Inside of writing for the resume, you'll see that it's going line by line and section by section inside of that content to help that student be able to build a resume while they're working on that module. And then the last piece, which I feel like is the foundation work in the midst of all this brickwork that is happening, is those workplace expectations. Is again, once I get the job, how am I keeping it? And so what is my employer expecting of me? How do I manage time? Because, executive function is hard. And sometimes it's not, they haven't learned in a classroom or they haven't learned it at home. And so giving them a general platform and format of understanding of when you need to be there and why you need to be there, teamwork, conflict resolution that's healthy. Many times, we've seen, something where someone is passive aggressive, or we're sending text, or we don't know how to communicate, or we don't deal with the conflict, when really they need to deal with the conflict, but deal with it in a healthy way. And then personal development learning and how beneficial that is into your job. And so that's the overview of the content that is in manufacturing. But it's definitely one that I want to be able to get you all set up with accounts so that you too can dive into this, go deeper in it, see how the modules work and see how the platforms work. So, all right. I want to come over here and show you the platform. This is a screenshot of the platform, but I definitely want to be able to log on and show you the platform. But I want to stop and ask you a few questions before we get started. All right, let's see if I have to leave for class. Good, Edith, good. Does anyone have any questions thus far before I get into the platform? Okay. None at the moment. Perfect. All right. Does anybody see any key uses that they can use it for? I'm seeing work-based learning, Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen again and show you the platform. Okay. This is what it looks like when you go on as a teacher. You're able to see the classes, you're able to see your instructor, you're able to see your, you can actually add in the class period if you have multiple students and add that. But what I want to mostly do is switch over to the student view. Okay, and show you exactly what the modules look like. So Audrey mentioned here that you have an overview. This is an overview of every industry. This section here takes about 2 hours. So if you have a student that has no idea what they want to do, they need a day to explore, they have a job shadow day, you know, here's an opportunity for that student to go on and be able to work through that and learn about every industry and a good overview. But today we're going to step into manufacturing. Okay, everything is online based, so easily to log in. It can be accessed from a tablet, from a phone, from a laptop. Okay, and we're going to jump into, I'm going to go to working in manufacturing and jump in a second too. So like I told you before, you have the sub bullet that you said working in manufacturing, but you see here, it is very robust. Okay, but these sections right here, you want to think about 5 to 10 minutes out of each of these sections that are happening here. Okay. So let's jump into what is OSHA. Okay, students can start the lesson here. Then they have a scroll down method. Okay, as you can see on this side, the students cannot fast pace or click through. They have to continue and engage with the content. Every 3 to 5 minutes, there's going to be some type of engagement, such as a knowledge check, maybe an image, maybe a drag and drop. But it's, again, helping them keep engaged, but also retain the information. Okay. Kathy says, I can't see your screen. Can anyone else see my screen? Are we good? Perfect. Okay, I can see everybody else. I'm going to go ahead. We also have on here that you see that there is a lot of reading. It is very literacy heavy. I will not give you chocolate covered broccoli students to be able to read the reading comprehension. It is at an 8th grade level with the sentence complexity, but you do have some collegiate level terms that are all defined. You also have speech to text. So if you have students that have reading comprehension issues, or if they're English as second language and they need to be able to hear it, they can all see that. Okay, so that's there and an option. It does not have to be played for it to work for the students. You also have here in the corner is an exit lesson button. Whenever we have a chance to be able to do a training session, I will mention this several times and mention it again, but have students exit through this lesson because this has how they save their progress. If they exit through the browser, it will not allow them to save their progress, and we want them to save their progress. Okay. So here you see the scroll down method as they continue on engaging with the content. Okay. And then you see within 2 or 3 minutes here that you have an engagement to be able to answer a knowledge check. All right. Perfect here. I'm going to exit the lesson here and I'm going to go back to instructor view. Okay. And I want to show you one, how you can run a student report. So you can go to students. You can click on to your students when you have your students enrolled. Okay. And you can run a report for the student. Okay. And in that report, it will show how the student is enrolled, what class they're in. It can show their lessons, their progress, their score, the time they spent, the date completed, and the subject. Okay. Classes are easily created through the class code button here. Okay. Work-based learning. You can type in you'll have your class name, you have your instructor, you can select a subject. This is a data point for you, not for us. So if you have it, we'll do for manufacturing. If you're a work-based learning coordinator and you have several sections like I did, I would categorize it. That way I know these are my manufacturing students. These are my healthcare students. Maybe I have a certain room that they meet in and I want to put that there, or a certain time period that they meet and I want to put that there. Even if you have some information that helps you get into reference those students and be able to pull this information data, those points are for you. The only thing that we need is this class name there and your instructor name. Once you do that, you click save. Okay. And you'll see that here is a work-based learning, my name, but you have a class code. Okay, that class code allows students to self-enroll themselves. So you give this class code to them, you send them to the website, which we have a PDF that shows you exactly how there's instructions for the students. The students pop that class code in and they'll create their username, their password, and it will enroll them into that class. And so you don't have to do that work because we already know you guys do enough work. If students are struggling to self-enroll, you can also enroll the student yourself, going back to the Students tab and enrolling here, using the first name, the last name, username, creating the password. You do want to have a character password. And again, that's information that I would tell you in a training session. And then the educational status. Everything else is data points for you all when you get into ethnicity, gender, and things of that sort. Those are data points that you can use on your reports, but it's nothing that we need. But you can enroll those students. And then as far as if you did self-enroll a student, you can go to inside of your classes, create a class role, add students, and just drag your students over. Okay. And now those students are enrolled in the class. Okay. So there's also several other features that I would love to be able to show you that allows you specifically for a student. So if you have a student that gets overwhelmed with content, you can assign them lesson by lesson or module by module. If you have students adding them to and taking them out of a class, we also have other account levels. So if you need to be, say, a district admin or a site admin, where you'll have several work-based learning coordinators under you or several other teachers that work under you that you need to review or see their classes, you're able to do that and pull reports. And so there's a lot of different other options that are available for you all. Just want to tell you about some case uses here. Any questions?
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yeah.
Once you, if you, the instructor, enroll the student yourself, is there a link that will be sent to them for them to start their modules, or how does that work?
Yes. So not necessarily a link, but when you create that class code is the link. And so let me, I'm glad you asked that. Let me go ahead and back and show you how we do that.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, I think that's one of my favorite pieces. Make sure everyone can see my screen. Great. Okay, so going back to that dashboard, sign in. Anytime I'm signing out, I apologize for that. So we go back to classes. Okay, the A work-based learning. This is the name. Okay, this is the class code, that BB1FBD. I would just write that down, but right for here sakes, I'm going to copy it. And then there is a PDF that's under our resource page that you can download that tells the students exactly how to go to the website and drop this code in. But what the PDF is going to do is tell the students to go here and click student self-sign up. Okay, and they're going to put in that BB1FBD, submit the code, and all they have to do is complete their first name and last name. It's going to drop them into that class, Miss Amy.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. So, and I think that's an easier and a faster way. So, I see Shoshana says I use RFI to juvenile facility where facilities vary. industry credentials. This has been a game changer. Aw, the lessons in the manageable. So Shauna, you should pop on and tell us about it. There we go.
So I cannot because I'm still in the facility, so
Oh, gotcha. So
we cannot communicate. But I'm just here to participate. I just wanted you to.
well, thank you for that. No, I'll read your information there, but thank you for that. And so glad that it's going well for you. So she is in the facility and she is using Ready for Industry. She says it's been a game changer for students because they can break it in the lessons into manageable parts and collaborate effectively. So far, 12 students have completed one or more lessons and they are seeking employment in those fields upon release. That is amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that today. So is there any other questions? So before I go over some other key uses. Okay. All right. So some sample uses that we have seen is at the American Job Centers, working with them and to be able to do a career exploration at the adult level. Shoshana spoke to it already, but we work with incarcerated learners at the juvenile level all the way up to the adult level in some facilities in Louisiana, in Tennessee, and in Kentucky to be able to help those people upon reentry be able to partner with a organization to be able to get a job as soon as they enter. Also at community and technical colleges, they're using it for essential foundations or career exploration in their career counseling. We're also using an initiative through Ballad Health that is using a health science piece. I know we're talking about manufacturing today, but they're using it for a health science pre-apprenticeship with students that are in high school. And so they're using RFI as their prep work, and then they're being able to step into those pre-apprenticeships. And then at the high school, again, working in apprenticeships, internships, and work-based learning classes. Others, when I talk about high school going into grade, is a grade could be all the way to the adult level, from second careers to coming from as an incarcerated learner to having a job change or a job loss. And so we're using it from high school to grade, and it's very flexible and it's fit. It's also being used in vocational rehab in Kentucky, and then also most recently with the SNAP and TANF programs as a career readiness qualifier. That is a program that we've just started up. And so any of those uses, if you'd like to connect with those partners that we have, we would love to be able to connect you with them so that you can ask them questions about their use and things that they're using to help get some best practices. Okay. And then last piece is just my ask for you all. I want you all to be able to, launch a pilot at your location. So please scan this QR code that allows you to create an account. And that allows you to be able to, go through, demo it, review the content, but also set up for your location. I want you to be able to spread the word, invite other high schools and agencies to take advantage of this. If you're in Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky, Louisiana, it is fully funded, as we mentioned before when we got started, as well as Ms. Audrey. And so it's completely free, not only just for the implementation, for the module, but also for your support, all training. Everything is completely free. And then make your voice heard. Share your feedback with your local workforce board, with your chambers, so that they're aware of this, and we can continue to have more industry partners know about Ready for Industry, so it can be continue to grow as an industry recognized credential. And so those are just 3 ways I would love to be able that you all could connect and help me, but also it can help you. And then last is our information. If you have any questions, you can reach us at info@readyforindustry.com. For any questions that you may have, implementation. After this webinar, probably within the day, I will be able to send you a link to my calendar, and I'd love to be able to set up a training session. Or if you're, running it through your mind and you're thinking, hey, I know some people that, would like this, please let me know. Or if you feel like I need to get in front of your team to show them this information, please let me know, and we'll be able to do that. We do that virtually, and we also do that in person. We want to be able to do that. So last piece, I just want to open the floor if there are any questions that anyone has. Lewis Laws, how much does this package cost? Lewis, I can talk to you about the cost of the package if you're outside of the states, if you want to drop your contact information, but I think I may have it. And then we can talk about cost outside if you're outside of Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisiana, or Alabama. Okay. All right. I see Kathy Johnson. You have a question? All right.
Okay,
Kathy.
now I'm unmuted. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I work at Huntsville City Schools in Alabama, and this is my second year as work-based learning coordinator. This is the first year as a full-time coordinator. And Miss Marshall, Audrey has been God sent as far as helping me become acclimated to different resources to use. So I love the free resources, of course.
Yes.
I love Ready for Industry, but she shared it with our group because I'm the VP of the work-based learning sector for the state of Alabama Education Department.
Oh,
and she
wonderful.
shared a link for me to sign up. And I'm thinking that may be the same thing you shared in the QR code.
Yes, that's the same thing. So
Okay.
in Alabama, if anyone is on Alabama from the on this webinar and your work-based learning, we're doing a special in-person training with you guys too. So in addition to that, Miss Kathy, we're going to get your account set up and get you guys go ahead and started, but also do a training session to think about deep dives and usages on November 20th. And so we're doing that hybrid. So you can either do it in person or you can do it online. So I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Right. Yes, I'm looking forward to meeting you as well. So I was just wondering, so I just need to wait till November the 20th to schedule a training, because you have to have that training before you get access to the platform.
No, ma'am. So we can get access today. And so we'll get you access today. And I can actually get you one-on-one training so we can go ahead and get you started. I think on November 20th, what you want to do is more of your deep dives with your other work-based learning coordinators to think about best practices and how they're using it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what I'll do is we'll get you started and I'll get that info to you today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I appreciate you. All right. I have, is it Monica Bell?
Yes.
Hi, Miss Monica. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready.
You ready? I love
Yes.
it.
I love it. I love it.
So what can I do for you, Miss Monica? What can we answer
I
for
think
you?
I think I have an account when you did the session this summer at the conference, but I need to just try to log in there again.
Yes.
And go
If you
ahead and get
cannot
everything set up.
log in and you have any difficulty, just send me an email at info@readyforindustry. So we'll get that taken care of.
I think I took a picture of the email. I will do that.
Perfect. Wonderful. It's good to meet you or see you or speak to you again. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
being here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Mr.
you.
Lewis, I see your question. Are there any other probation and parole users in Louisiana? Yes. So I have 3 facilities, Alon, Hunt, Ouachita, and Rayburn, that are using are ready for industry, and we'll have 3 other industries that will be added on. We're under the leadership in Louisiana or are working with our partner is CTE Director Edward Boyd. And then I can get into how we work with ATLO and how we do the privacy pieces. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And so please let me know if we can connect via email and let me know a time so that we can sit down and have that conversation. So is there any other questions? Perfect. Okay, I see Ms. Sheila says put the
I
link
do have
here.
one more question. Do we need to send you an email to get to participate in the November 20th deep dive training, or?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. And I am dropping in the chat. Thank you so much, Ms. Sheila, for the reminder there.
The link.
Thank you.
Are you in Alabama?
I am not. I'm in Tennessee, but I come to Alabama quite often, as well as Louisiana, Kentucky. I try to get to the states that are under my management as much as possible. And so I will be coming to Montgomery, I believe, on that day. Yes.
Right, it will be. That's why I was asking the young lady. I didn't know if she was in Alabama, but I know it's a registration link as well.
Yeah.
That Aubrey shared with us. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So you guys will be meeting up in Montgomery. But if you cannot make it to Montgomery, there will be a hybrid on
Virtual.
that day that I'll do
Or-
online. So it'll be a shorter version, but that's an option too. But if you don't, I mean, I don't want you to wait till, November 20th. That's a long way off. So I definitely want you to be able to use it now, especially as students are coming back from fall break, getting them some work under their belt. And so please, please, please reach out to me. I'm actually going to put also my email in the chat. Okay, that's there. So you can send that, and I put how you can get signed up via for your account via the state there. And I thank you all so much for your time. Is there any other questions that you all have?
No, ma'am. Thank you. You did a great job.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you all so much for giving me some of your time. I know it's very valuable. I hope that the rest of your week is absolutely amazing. And I hope that you're able to take this resource and use it to get students to success, because that's what we're here for, is because we love the students and we want them to do well. So thank you all for your time, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
I'm so sorry. Can you drop your
Thank
email
you.
in the chat?
Can I drop my what? What was that?
Email, your email in the chat.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm putting it right there just right now. This Casey.Alvarado at ready for industry.com. There you go, Miss Shoshana. All right.